Sollace in Troubled Times. Episode S4E2. How to recognize fascism from quite a long way away. Number 1. The demagogue. The demagogue. The demagogue.
You've heard the verdict of the court. Is there anything you wish to say before I pass sentence?
Well, I'd just like to say, Your Honor, that the Supreme Court has issued only a few good decisions in its time. Some of its absolute best came in a 20-year span from 1954 to 1973. Start with Brown v. Board of Education, which ruled that race-based segregation in public education violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment.
I don't see how this is relevant.
It will become clear in a moment, Your Honor. Consider Gideon v. Wainwright, which ruled that all people had a right to legal representation in court, and Reynolds v. Sims, which held that federal electoral districts had to be roughly equal in population.
Again, relevance.
What of Griswold v. Connecticut, which barred the state from regulating or banning contraceptive use on right to privacy grounds? Let us not forget Miranda v. Arizona, which held that arrested suspects had to be informed of their constitutional rights. Loving v. Virginia legalized interracial marriage. Roe v. Wade established abortion rights.
That last one has been overturned.
Yes, we know. And the Roberts Court has taken a hatchet to Miranda as well. 2 members of the court have said Gideon should be overruled. At least 1 member of the court and several leading Republicans have talked about taking down Griswold. The Roberts Court's hostility to voting rights means Reynolds is probably in danger. With the Equal Protection Clause under fire, Loving could easily be overturned. Brown was quietly bypassed decades ago, but I wouldn't be surprised if Roberts and his minions go after it.
Minions, you are here because you have demonstrated contempt for the Supreme Court. Don't expect clemency just because you speak of some decisions with respect.
I respect them because those decisions protected and expanded civil rights. These cases form the foundation of rights-based jurisprudence. The current Supreme Court is dominated by replicants from the Federalist Society. Remember, the Federalist Society was created as a home for crackpots and cranks who thought these were bad decisions, and they churn out lawyers and judges who want to destroy them.
Look, your side had your time in charge. Now we're in charge. Show some respect for the winners.
No! Is that what this is about? The fact that the decisions establishing our modern system of rights are respected, while Republican judges who are dismantling those rights are not?
Not as such.
Federalist Society judges are despised for what they're doing. Don't wait for praise. You'll never get it.
It's not fair. Why praise liberal judges for creating rights that aren't in the Constitution, but condemn conservative ones who take away those rights?
You just answered your own question. Conservatives think of power as something you do to people. We think it's something people do for themselves.
You know, calling us Federalist Society replicants isn't very nice. You talk about us like we're not even human.
Let's find out if you are. A tortoise lays on its back, its belly baking in the hot sun, but it can't turn over without your help. You're not helping. Why is that, Judge? Describe in single words only the good things that come into mind about your mother. Number 1. The demagogue. The demagogue. The demagogue. And now, number 1. The demagogue. And now,
Excuse me, are you Rose from Rose Twitter Dating?
yes, that's me. You must be Buster.
Yep, Buster Brown they called me when I was a kid. But my last name's not Brown, it's Mudd. Buster Mudd.
Yeah, it would be funny if my last name were Twitter. Rose Twitter, like the dating app. My last name is Flem.
So how did you get on Rose Twitter?
I wanted to date someone who wasn't a fascist, or a crypto-fascist, or a liberal, which is basically a fascist.
I know what you mean. The last girl I dated, she voted for Bernie in 2016 like I did, but when he lost, she still voted Democratic.
Oh my God, she voted for Hillary Clinton?
Yeah, she was worried about the Supreme Court, wanted to defend abortion rights.
I can't believe she just threw her vote away like that.
That's what I told her. So I have this tradition that when I ask someone out, I always take them to Fricano's.
The Italian place? Much too fancy. For a first date, a burger joint is good enough.
It wouldn't feel right to take you to a place like Mr. Beefy.
That's exactly what I had in mind. Working class food at working class prices. Plus, they have a new vegetarian version of the bison burger, the Great Plains burger, using the unlikely meats meat substitute.
You don't like Italian?
I don't like bourgeois places. Have you even read Slutsky? You can't really understand until you've read Slutsky.
I've read Zarthusian.
Ooh, that's a challenging read.
Yeah, it is. So, shall we go eat?
Only if it's the working class meatless burger.
Sorry, I date the way I vote. If I can't get 100% of what I want right away, I don't get involved.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. Well, good night, and maybe I'll see you at a protest sometime.
I remember having it in the classroom. Now it's gone.
You agree, sir?
Hungry.
Would you mind, Professor, just stepping this?
Sorry I'm late, boss. Looks like we might have a great story for tonight.
What is it?
Life Solutions has been working through one subsidiary to buy farmland in cities, through another to bury toxic waste there, and then through a third to build subdivisions on that land. They're turning good soil into bad houses.
But Life Solutions is an organic grocer. They don't work in real estate or toxic waste, except for their kale enemas.
No, but the companies they own do. It's a big story. It will take a bit of explaining.
Nope,
What do you mean, nope?
we're not going to run it.
Why the hell not?
If you're explaining, you're losing viewers. It's going to take too much time to cover. Our viewers' time is valuable. Our advertisers' time is valuable. We need stories that will hold the viewers' interest.
They might be interested in whether they're going to buy a poison house.
Are these subsidiary companies well known?
No. We need to tell viewers who's involved and how subsidiaries work.
Viewers aren't going to stick around for a lecture on corporate law. They'll switch channels and we'll lose advertising revenue.
But this is crime. We run crime stories all the time.
Violent crime, yes. Crimes that might scare our viewers, yes. But corporate crime? No way. We're a corporation, remember? In fact, we're owned by another corporation.
I know that.
Did you know that our owners also own Life Solutions?
I didn't know that.
Well, they do. I think they do. Either way, we don't want our viewers thinking corporations routinely commit crimes.
But they do.
It's profitable for corporations to do crime. It's unprofitable to talk about it. Now give me a nice juicy government scandal.
I don't have any new scandals. But there are some politicians talking about new workplace regulations.
That we can run with. The extreme left is coming for your iPhones, that sort of thing.
These are actually centrists, and polls show that most Americans support their proposals. If you want extreme, there are some politicians on the right who want to abolish certain kinds of marriages and certain kinds of children.
Then we've got two stories, the extreme left and the extreme right.
But the left-wing extremists just want better workplace safety. The right-wingers are talking about eliminating children.
Both sides. I love it. Run that baby.
Well, you sign my paychecks.
And a corporation signs mine.
Weren't we supposed to end on a hilarious punchline?
Yeah, but I'm not feeling it. You?
Not really, no.
Okay.
Go ahead and relax. Therapy starts with talking, and you'll get more out of it the more relaxed you are, and the more open you are.
All right. How should I begin?
Well, what brought you to therapy?
My car. Haha. Sorry. I write comedy sketches, but I've lost my sense of humor. I've been having a harder time bringing the funny as a fascist takeover looms.
Why do you feel a fascist takeover looms?
Well, Trump supporters tried to overthrow the government in 2021, and the January 6th committee showed that only their incompetence kept them from succeeding.
Okay.
And you've got a case before the Supreme Court that will decide whether or not state legislatures have to follow the law when appointing presidential electors.
I see.
And Republican elected officials are still denying the legitimacy of the 2020 presidential election. Who's to say they won't try another coup if they lose?
That is a lot. Do you feel that Democrats are as bad or worse than Republicans?
I have problems with the Democrats, but no, they are nowhere near as bad as Republicans.
Then I think we can rule out both sidesism, which is good. Both sidesism is treated with prescription-strength Damitol, which has nasty side effects.
Like what?
Cynicism and a tendency to complain a lot.
I do enough of that on my own.
Yes, I noticed. How have you been coping with the rise of fascism?
Snark. I'm a lefty writer mocking ridiculous people on the right. But they're not only ridiculous, they are also cruel, and the things they do when they are in power hurt people. It's hard to make jokes when that's going on.
Do you think right-wing writers are having a hard time too?
Wait, what's that?
Uh-oh. I think it's the middle of the video.
Hello, and welcome to the middle of the video. The therapy sketch seems like the right time to take a break and say, if you too are feeling anxious about the threat of fascism on the rise, you are not alone. Find others with whom you can organize. Vote for anti-fascist politicians. Pressure them through activism and demonstrations to support policies which will protect people targeted by fascists. Demand the elimination of obstacles that stand between the people and the ballot box. Get involved and stay involved. It's how democracy works. And now, let's go back to the therapy sketch, and I'll see you at the end of the video. Well, that was rude.
Quite. Where were we?
Do I think right-wing writers are having a hard time too?
Oh, yes. Do you?
I don't know. When I was young, the conservatives I counted as friends were pretty decent people, if a little hard-hearted and set in their ways. Now they are just plain cruel and callous, so screw them.
You lost them as friends.
Yes, it's like a reverse Scooby-Doo. We ripped off the human mask and found a monster underneath.
Ruh-roh.
I would laugh at that, but I've lost my sense of humor.
What do you think humor is for?
In this case, making life bearable in the face of injustice. Injustice that some are willing to perpetuate and reinforce, no matter how many people get hurt. And, well, no.
What is it?
I was going to say I want to show that there is joy and humor in fighting injustice, but that's me getting too big for my britches.
Is there something wrong with that?
No, as long as I don't burn my britches behind me. Hey, I laughed.
That's good. Can you channel that into something useful?
What do you mean?
Are there any sketches you've been working on lately?
Oh, I see. There's one I was working on about how conservatives would rather die than live in a world where everyone is treated decently. Content warning, suicide. Here's how the current draft goes. Mr. Carthanel, I presume?
Yes, your friend brought me here. Apparently I am summoned. Who are you?
Just a fortune teller. I heard you at the club talking about immigration, borders, taxes, tyranny, blue lives, critical race theory, groomers, baby killers, the gay agenda, the trans emission, globalists, socialists, communists, and I thought I'd invite you over.
Yes, well, we have our little conservative get-togethers at the club. I didn't see you there.
It looked like a boys-only thing. You have quite a vision for America's future.
I hope it has a future. I've thought of running for office myself to help bring the future about.
Shall we see what the future holds for you?
I don't really believe in that stuff.
Then it can't hurt to give it a try.
All right, work your magic, O Oracle.
The Oracle? That's someone else. Why, I'm just a humble seer.
Oh, right, yes, my mistake.
Oh, that's favorable to you.
What do you see?
I see victories, many victories. I see the Republicans crush their enemies, driving them before them, and I hear the lamentations of women.
Democratic women?
All women, once you clamp down even more on their rights.
So we win.
It is possible.
Soon, or...
You'd like to see the perfect Republican future? Now?
What do you mean?
This is dream. Even diluted in water, it is powerful enough to give you visions.
What kind of visions?
The perfect Republican future. You do want to see it, don't you?
Is this some kind of drug?
No. If you only take a sip, it's a perfectly harmless potion. Just don't drink the whole glass. That would probably kill you.
No thanks.
Come now. You said you were thinking of running for office. Don't you want to see the future you will help build? Just one sip is all it takes.
Just one sip?
Just one sip.
All right.
Welcome back.
I saw it. I was in a desert of weeds and concrete, racked by hot winds. There were bodies, some skeletal, some recent, a black man's corpse, Mexicans, some women.
I know the place. I know who has died and who has survived. That is the world you and the GOP have built.
I didn't see any white men. We were extinct.
Actually, white men were doing fine. They were all living in gated communities in Antarctica, holding the power of life and death over their women and servants.
Oh, thank God.
Unfortunately for you, that is not the future. A much better future is coming. One in which all people realize the fruit of their labors. One where all people of all creeds, colors, and genders can flourish as equals.
But what you showed me
was a lie. You will be defeated, and you will live in a world where everyone is treated with decency and respect, no matter who they are.
Spare me.
No! Actually, I guess that worked out.
Good evening and welcome to Channel 23 Unicorn News. I'm your news host, Glitterhoof. It's been a quiet day over most of the country as people went back to work after the warmest autumn weekend on record. A high spot of the weekend was the meeting between the officials of the NEDC and the ODCN in Bradford today, which was A-OK. Locally, state officials continue to crack down on groomers and their political allies in Washington. Federal officials have filed suit against new state laws targeting the LGBT community. A representative of the Department of Justice stated that the civil rights of all Americans will be protected. The illegitimate Biden administration continues its saber-rattling against Russia. A patriotic news source has emphasized that Biden's puppet masters are pushing the world toward nuclear war. There has been another substantial drop in unemployment. As the economy continues to recover from the effects of the COVID pandemic, Biden administration officials point to the fastest job creation rate for a first-term president on record. Inflation continues to spiral out of control thanks to Sleepy Joe's poor command of economic reality. A kitten was stuck in a tree at the corner of Cedar and Juniper. Firefighters responded to a little girl's call for help, and the kitten, Princess Snuggle Mittens, was safely restored to her. The latest Q-drop hints that the storm is coming and will purge every member of the globalist elite cabal. In sports ball, our local sports team prevailed by 8 runs. Last week, the away team had defeated their opposition with 9 balls left and had come into town expecting an easy win. Weather for tomorrow will be cloudy with occasional outbreaks of rain. And that is the end of the news. This has been a news production from Channel 23. You're watching Channel 23. Good for you.
And now, number 1, the demagogue. The demagogue. The demagogue. And now, number 3, the demagogue. And now, Antifa.
So we're up to World War II now. What do you know about World War II? Anyone? Yes.
Like some sequels, it had a bigger budget, was more popular than the original.
Not how I would have put it, but largely correct. World War I was, at its core, just 2 power blocks hitting each other. It took effort and a lot of propaganda to make Allied populations accept it as a war defending democracy against dictatorship.
World War II had a lot of propaganda.
It did, but people could tell from the start that democracy versus fascism was a fight worth seeing through to the end.
The last president said there were good Nazis.
He lied. There are no good Nazis. There are no good fascists. Fascism always results in the final solution.
What does the final solution mean exactly?
For the Nazis, it was the final solution to the Jewish question. That is, how are Jewish minorities to be treated in the modern world? Their answer was extermination. That's where fascism always leads, because fascism needs an enemy, a numerically weak enemy, that can be subjected to violence with impunity.
What was the first solution?
That is an excellent question. We associate fascism with death camps. It never starts that way, though. It's too late by then. Fascism starts with othering, classifying people in an outgroup as an irredeemable other in order to gain political power.
I've heard lefties and liberals call Trumpists irredeemable. Does that make them as bad as fascists?
Trumpism is irredeemable, but Trump supporters are ordinary people. If Trumpism is defeated, then in time, Trump supporters may change their minds.
Still sounds like they're being made into an other.
They are othering themselves through their actions. If they stop acting like fascists, they are no longer other. But their targets, minorities, gays and lesbians, transgender children, they are targeted for their essential natures. Being a fascist is a choice. Being black or gay or transgender isn't. So if you want to prevent the final solution, you have to prevent the first solution. Don't let bad guys go after people just because they're LGBT or non-white or born overseas.
Otherwise, history will repeat itself?
History doesn't really repeat, but there are patterns of disaster. If we can recognize those patterns, it may help us weather or avoid those disasters. Fascism can only be stopped by a broad popular front. The left, liberals, centrists, and conservatives working together to keep fascists out of power.
We're screwed.
That remains to be seen. Hello, and welcome to the end of the video. In case things didn't make sense to you, let's review, shall we? The Courtroom Sketch was about the greatest decisions of the Supreme Court under Chief Justice Earl Warren. These are the rights that Republican judges are rolling back, but they're angry that people are angry at them. Pretty petulant, really.
The date sketch was about political purity on the left. If you only participate when you can get everything you want, then everyone ends up going hungry. The Newsroom Sketch was about how a for-profit media model will always fail to actually inform people. Remember, news is whatever powerful people want to keep hidden, everything else is public relations. The Therapy Sketch was about whether comedy is a good response to fascism when people's lives are on the line. It is. The Fortuneteller Sketch was about how conservatives would rather die than live in a world where everyone by default is treated with respect. The Anchorman Sketch was about fascist manipulation of the press to make it impossible for people to get reliable information. Remember, people who can get you to believe absurdities can get you to commit atrocities. Lastly, the Classroom Sketch was a warning that fascism has to be stopped early, and that in order to stop it, you may have to embrace people whose politics you don't like. That's everything. Oh, and the repeating number 1, the demagogue thing? A reminder that fascism will continue to be a threat until the people act against it. As I said in the middle of the video, in a democracy you have to be involved. If you're on the political left, the political right doesn't want you voting, so anyone who tells you not to vote is not an ally. Anyway, I hope you had fun. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Stick around for a little solace, and then we'll roll the credits. Bye-bye. Morning.
You couldn't sleep either?
No, I kept having weird, disjointed dreams that were like
sketch comedy?
only more confusing than funny.
Why would we have the same dreams?
Do you think it could be...
God?
No, Dr. Farwell, the hotel's resident mad social scientist.
Did someone call?
Yes, Barbie and I had the same weird and confusing dreams last night.
Barbie?
We suspect a strange and sinister force known as you.
Let's not jump to conclusions. If I were working on a Confusatron,
On a what?
a purely hypothetical hypnagogic device producing in dreamers a state of accelerated unexpected events taking place in a perpetually delirious assault on the accepted and the expected.
And for what would this purely hypothetical Confusatron be used?
Why, to accelerate one's evolution 10 lifetimes per experience. Hypothetically.
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically, would this be tested on us?
No, on willing subjects only, unless there were some kind of laboratory accident, but that's not the sort of thing that would happen twice. Hypothetically.
Well, good. I would hate to come up there with an axe and have my own laboratory accident.
Quite. I have some cleaning up to do. Goodbye.
Well, that explains that.
Oh, I sure hope that doesn't come back to bite us in the ass.
It shouldn't. Hypothetically.